I work with fire departments in the United States, and the fire departments there know that there's an increase in cancer rates among firefighters. We had some recent large studies showed that firefighters had both increased cancer incidence and mortality with a different variety of cancers. So right now, the focus in the United States is to find ways of preventing the cancer. Specifically, they're looking at reducing their exposure, and they're doing that with a number of different mechanisms. First, they're trying to reduce the amount that they get through breathing in chemicals in the air. So that involves using their respiratory equipment for a greater period of time at the fire scene, and also trying to reduce the amount of exposure they get through their skin. So I personally have worked with a large number of fire departments in the United States, but I work the most with my local fire department in Tucson, Arizona. So there we've been measuring the amount of chemicals that are released in their urine after a fire. So these chemicals, again, come through both breathing in the air and also through the skin. And what we found is that every firefighter at the fire scene has an increase in the chemicals in the urine. So that would include both the teams that go into the building on fire to help put out the fire, as well as the team members that sit outside of the fire, such as the engineers. Those would be the chauffeur de camion, and also the paramedics that treat individuals that are exposed to smoke. So all those individuals are having an increased exposure. So therefore, our fire department has put new interventions in place to reduce those exposures, and we're testing the effectiveness of those now. What we found so far is that, particularly for the engineers, the chauffeur de camion, that there's a reduced amount of chemicals in their urine now that they've started to wear their respiratory breathing apparatus. So other work that we've been doing is to try to help understand the mechanisms by which the exposures to firefighters cause cancer. So those would be the changes at the cellular level. What we've found so far are that certain epigenetic changes, so changes that affect gene expression, are occurring in the incumbent firefighters. Those are firefighters who've been fighting fires for a while, as compared to the new recruits. So each of these changes involve a reduction in tumor-suppressing microRNAs, which is a type of epigenetic change, and also an increase in cancer-causing microRNAs. So these provide a mechanism by which the exposures can be causing cancers in firefighters, and it also allows us to look at the effectiveness of interventions for many years before cancers develop, because there's a latency period between the exposure and the onset of cancer that can be anywhere from 5 to 30 or more years. Therefore, we need markers that can tell us whether what we're doing is effective well before the cancer develops.